Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining here. We are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And again, we are here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who are tuning back in on the replay on YouTube, welcome, welcome to you as well. Be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the page. So thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Let me know where you are tuning in from today in the chat. Excuse me. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. If you are brand new to mental health moment is all about how do you work on becoming the best version of who you are so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. So we're here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about a lot of different things related to mental health, wellness, burnout prevention, all the things to make sure, again, that you're living your best life basically, and working on becoming a better version of who you are, because of course it's important for you, but it also benefits the people around you, which is pretty cool too. So again, let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. hopefully I can see Hopefully I can see my comments today. It looks like we're connected today. I don't know if you remember last week, but there was some little, well, let me not jinx it, technical glitch going on, but it looks like we're all connected today. So, hey everyone, just sometimes my comments come in late, but definitely let me know where you're tuning in from the chat and in the chat. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry early Christmas. I cannot believe it's like 2 days away, or maybe one, depending on where you're at in the world, which is pretty crazy. So again, if you do celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. Speaking of Christmas, today's mental health moment is all about, we're going to talk about some gifts today. Because a lot of times when we think about Christmas, again, for those of you who celebrate, we think about gifts, right? So we think about physical gifts. I know, I'm not afraid to admit, I may have been doing some last minute shopping today. Even though Christmas is like 2 days away. Right? But we think a lot about physical gifts. North Chesterfield, Virginia's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. But today I wanted to talk to you about the gifts that you don't necessarily see sometimes, right? And it's important that we also remember our own gifts, because my very strong opinion is that we all have different gifts. Sometimes you may or may not even recognize what your gifts are. Maybe it's something that someone else has told you, or maybe you need to be in some self reflection, which is all good, to know what your gifts are. But I strongly believe we all have our different gifts, right? Michigan's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Okay. So a couple of things for today's mental health moment. And I can't believe also that we're like rounding out the year here, like in less than 2 weeks, which is crazy, right? So these are things to think about, again, as we head into the holiday season, also, of course, the end of the year. So the first thing I want you to think about today is to really, if you were to ask yourself, and you can put in the chat, hopefully I'll be able to see the chat, but you can put in the chat as well. But really to think about, what are some of your non-physical gifts, if you will, that you can maybe share with others. And what I mean by that is, for some of you, you have a lot of empathy. Like, you're just a very empathic person, which is amazing. For some of you, you have the gift of wisdom. Like, maybe you've just been through some stuff, right? And you've learned. Um, Sometimes, we talked about it before, mental health moment. Sometimes we have adversity, but we've learned different things from that experience. And we have gifts where we have that wisdom where we can share with others and help others and their journey, right? Maybe that's your gift. Maybe your gift is just really being resilient and being able to have more peace of mind in your life. Like, that's a huge gift, actually. We talk a lot about that on mental health moment too, but that's a very huge gift to have. to have the gift of resiliency. Or maybe it's creativity. Maybe you're a really creative person. Or maybe it's something else, right? It doesn't have to just be those things, but I really want you to think about what is it for you that you feel is your gift or your gifts that you have that you, again, can think about sharing with others. Because one of the reasons why it's important for you to know that, and if you don't know, like I said, it's all good. Maybe you're like, you know what, Dr. Hammond, I'm just in a season where I'm not really sure who I am, which is okay. And actually, it doesn't matter how old you are. We all sometimes get in seasons of confusion or lack of clarity. So if that's the case, maybe you need some silent time. Maybe if you believe in prayer, you need to be in prayer, or maybe you need some type of reflection of, your life and just figuring some things out, which is okay, right? We all have to take pauses sometimes and reset and recharge and figure out some things. So maybe you're in that season, which is okay. But either way, either you're in the search to know at this juncture, at this phase in your life, what your gifts are, or you already know them, which is all good too, either way. And again, thanks for those who are starting to join here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. If you're just tuning in, we're talking today about your gifts because we're so close to Christmas for those of you who celebrate. But not just the gifts that you're giving, the physical gifts that you may be giving, but also the non physical gifts, right? Like the gifts that you're blessed with, whatever that may be. Um, so first, again, I want you to think about what are those gifts, right? And again, feel free to um, share them in the comments if you know what they are, which is good either way. If you're like, you know what, I'm not quite sure, but I'm searching to understand what that is at this phase of my life, that put that into. Maybe you'll put searching right now, right? Like you're looking for that clarity, which is all good. Or maybe you do know what it is. But either way, put it in the chat. And hopefully if I can actually see my comments, I would love to read them off. They trickle in sometimes, and sometimes I can't see them till much later in the live. But anyhow, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Be sure to let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat as well. But either way, just know that a lot of times there's a lot happening in the world, as we all know. And I feel like sometimes we neglect the fact that people. Not, I'm not saying physical gifts aren't good. Like cool, right? But also the gifts that we can give to people that are non-physical are really important to you. Like sometimes maybe some of you are like really good listeners and the value of that I could do a whole mental health moment on that. But the value of that for a person that's just going through something where they have someone who they can talk to and you can listen to them, that's huge. Like that's major, right? Like so again, not I'm not saying anything's wrong with the physical gifts, but let's also remember the gifts that we were blessed with that are not physical, that we can be intentional, which is my tip number 2 for you today, but be intentional with sharing with others. Michigan's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Lancaster, California's in the house. Welcome. Florida. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So my second tip for today. So the first thing is, again, for you to identify what those non-physical gifts are for you. If you don't know already, maybe you're in a search for that, which is all good, right? Maybe you're in a season of clarity, which is all good. It takes time sometimes. But the second thing is also to be intentional about how you're sharing these gifts. I think it's very important for us all to be sharing our gifts with others, but also be intentional in how you're doing that, right? Maybe you're in a season where people that can benefit from your gifts. Again, if it's creativity, if it's empathy, if you have learned how to be resilient, if you have learned how to have peace of mind, if you're really good with connecting people together, if whatever your gifts are, being intentional about who am I sharing these gifts with? Because sometimes there's people right in front of you that you need to be sharing this gift that you have with. And sometimes there's other individuals that can benefit from your gifts as well that you may not think could benefit from your gifts, right? El Paso, Texas in the house. Welcome. South Carolina's here. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. So again, either way, the most important thing is just to be intentional and say, you know what? I know, yay, that I need to share this gift with others that I have, right? I mean, that'll be a great thing, right? To help others with your gift. But the third tip of the day, that I also want to remind you of, which has to go along with being intentional, is that I also want you to understand that you should, yes, help others with your gifts, but also at the same time, I know this is a balance thing here, but honor your own well being as well. Right. So, the point of these amazing gifts that you're blessed with, whatever they are, is not so that you have to be so drained when you're like, let's say you're a good listener, right? Like not to the point where you're interacting with others in a way that you are so drained, right? Like that doesn't help your own well-being if you do that. But it's being intentional of who you share your gifts with, when you share your gifts with, and also as I always say on mental health moment, to check in with yourself as well. Like, how are you doing? Right? What is your bandwidth like? And understanding that you also have to honor your own well-being through this process. Boss is in the house. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining here. Terry, Mississippi's in the house. Welcome. Sometimes, okay, I digress for a second. Sometimes I have to look, you all, because I see like some some different abbreviations, and I'm like trying to figure out cities or states or all that, but it's all good. Thanks for tuning in again. For those of you who are just joining, and letting me know in the chat where you're tuning in from today. And if you are just tuning in today, because of course Christmas for some of us is coming up very rapidly here. So we're talking about gifts today, but we're also talking about the gifts that you don't always see. So a lot of times we think about the gifts that we, sort of wrap and put under Christmas trees, but there's also gifts that you can give to others, being intentional, that you don't always see, right? Like, which is really like supporting others and helping others and sharing your creativity or sharing your wisdom or sharing your ways to have peace of mind, or, whatever it is for you that you have. And let me know again in the comments, if you know what your gift is, what you've been blessed with, let me know in the comments what that is. And there's not a right or wrong answer. So the answer is either right, what your gift is, or the answer could be, you know what, right now I'm searching for that in whatever season of life that you're in. Right. Like I said, it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 90 years old and be like, you know what? I'm in a new season of my life. Let me see what my gift is right now. Or maybe your gift has changed. All good. Right. But Atlanta, Georgia's in the house. Welcome, welcome. But again, important to identify what those things are. Be intentional, especially through this holiday season. What's always interesting about the holidays is, where was I today? I don't even know. I was all over today, trying to do last minute shopping too. But I was somewhere, I don't know, probably in one of the stores or something. And it was just interesting because, you hear this holiday music, and it was kind of neat actually, because you hear the holiday music, people are sort of dancing or sort of singing along. You can just see like the joyous moments, which is great, right? I don't know about you, but I love Christmas music. But it can be a joyous time. But also for a lot of people, it's a very, very difficult time as well for a lot of different reasons. So please also keep in mind, again, as we're talking about our gifts and how we can give these gifts and be intentional with our gift giving of our qualities, if we will, and our strengths that we have. Please understand that, again, this season is, while it's full of joy, it's also full of um, sadness and just people just going through stuff, right? That's just the reality for a lot of, like I said, a lot of different reasons. So keep that in mind as we just continue to pour love into the community, pour, again, our creativity, our whatever your gifts are, our creativity, our thoughtfulness, right? Our kindness, whatever you can do, random acts of kindness, all the things. Like, keep doing what you're doing and understanding that people really, really need that as well. Um, and thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. The other thing I wanted to share before I wrap up today, excuse me, goodness my gracious, this is like a never ending cough. But the other thing I wanted to remind you of as I, wrap up today's mental health moment is that, you know, when you think about these gifts, it really is possible. I feel like a lot of times when we think about our mental health, we think about our gifts, right? Like being intentional with others, we always think of it sort of one-sided, right? Like, how can we help someone? Which is good, but it's also like, how can you honor yourself, as I said earlier, for those of you who were here earlier. So really thinking about it as much as you can, of being in balance with that. Like, yes, help the person in front of you. Yes, make sure you're checking in with others, but also make sure you're checking in with yourself. Make sure you're honoring your boundaries. We talked about that on a recent mental health moment. Make sure you're honoring your own self-care. Make sure you're honoring your well-being, whatever wherever you're at. Again, because this holiday season, you may be, or maybe you're listening to this later on YouTube when we're out of holiday season, but whatever season of life that you're in, again, you may be in a place where you are good. Like, you're like, I'm in a great place mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You have an overflow, which is great. Like, you have an overflow of energy, you have an overflow of creativity, you have time, or whatever it is that you have to give to others. And then other times you may assess and take a step back and be like, you know what, this is a very hard season of my life. I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, I'm drained. And maybe you need to take a step back and take care of yourself in that season, which is okay and is not selfish. And then fill your cup back up so that you can go out and be in service, whatever that looks like for you, to others, right? Like, it's okay to right, be in balance. It's okay to think about yourself. It's okay to think about helping others, but there has to be a good balance. That's a very short way to explain a very long solution that probably needs more time to explain. But hopefully that makes sense. Because otherwise, again, especially in these hectic, busier times of the year, it's easy to get very drained, very bogged down. There's a lot happening. Life is busy, right? And we accidentally neglect to take care of ourselves. Michigan's in the house. Ooh, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So again, I've said it before, but as I wrap up here, I really want you to think about that again. Lots happening in the world. Make sure that you're helping others with your gifts, but also make sure that you are checking in with yourself. You're absolutely welcome. Someone said, thank you for this information. You're absolutely welcome. And for those of you who are new, or if you're just now tuning in at the end of today's mental health moment, I am here live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. But if you ever miss a mental health moment, you can also catch the replay on Dr. Nikisha Hammond, is right here on the screen, for the spelling on the YouTube page. Okay, so you can always go back through, or maybe there's just something you need at a particular time. There's a gazillion topics I feel like that we've talked about related to mental wellness, but whatever it is that you need, just please check in with yourself. Please make sure you're getting the information. Please make sure you're using that information to, for your benefit. And again, when you help yourself, that is a gift actually. When you work on your own healing, whatever that may look like, that is a gift for you. And that's also a gift for the people around you as well, because they want the best version of you. Trust me. So, good morning. Thanks so much for joining here. I love that. Shreveport, Louisiana is in the house. Welcome. I love that this is such a global community. So of course, for me right now, it's 8:30 Eastern. But I love that for some of you, you're saying good morning because, of course, you're in different parts of the world. I just love that this is a global community. And I do want to say that I really appreciate each and every one of you being here. I know it's like towards the end of the year. So hopefully you're also in a space of gratitude. There may be things that happen this year. I'm going to talk more about it next week as we wrap up the year. But I know there's things like all of our lives, things that may have happened that you didn't want to happen this year or didn't expect to happen or whatever is the case. But also, which we'll do more of next week, hopefully you're also in a place of gratitude. So even through the hardships, hopefully you have been able to learn some lessons from it, have been able to think about some takeaways from it. But again, like I said, we'll talk about that a lot more on next week's mental health moment, which is crazy. Next week is, yeah, it's the 30th. And that's insane because that means we're like wrapping up the year, you all, which is it crazy. I don't know if it's just me, but I always feel like the last after Thanksgiving, I don't know, it just flies by. It's like you blink and then it's like, Happy New Year, which is crazy. So anyhow, so we'll be talking more. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we'll be talking more next week on mental health moment. Bring next week, just bring things that you've been grateful for this year. And we'll talk about our gratitude will talk about closing out the year properly, and making space, right? Making space for this new year coming up, clearing your heart and your minds as much as possible. Not everything magically is a light switch, of course. I totally get that. So I'm not saying we're turning off any big things that may have happened or whatnot, but we're going to do our best to, close out the year with gratitude and move into a positive space going to the new year. But of course, like I said, we'll do that. We'll do that next week. Um, for sure. Someone said, "Hi, Dr. Hammond. Love that you're showing up during the holiday. Absolutely. This can be a really stressful time. I welcome all the positive nuggets. Absolutely. No problem. I'll be back next week too. Let me see where I'll be. I will be okay. I won't be, anyways. I'll be out of town, but I will be live. I'll be live with you. I'm like, where am I gonna be at? I'll be out of town, but it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. I'll be live with you all next week. Again, like I said, closing out the year here. So, okay. I said like 4 times I was gonna wrap up today's mental health moment. So I'm really wrapping up today's mental health moment. But again, have an amazing week. If you're just tuning in and we're like at the last like a minute of mental health moment, again, you can always watch the replays on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page. But today we talked a lot about what are your gifts, the non-physical gifts that you can give to others, right? Especially not just in this holiday season, but throughout the year, of course. But since we're thinking about holidays and gift giving and all that, let's also think about the good blessings and the gifts that we have that we can share with others, and help yourself in the process with your mental health. Okay. Be blessed. Be amazing. Again, happy or merry, merry early Christmas for those of you who celebrate. And I will see you all next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Have a great week and a wonderful holiday. So I'll see you next week. Bye, you guys.